Article 2. Whether God is composed of matter and form. Objection 1. It seems that God is composed of matter and form. For whatever has a soul is composed of matter and form, since the soul is the form of the body. But Scripture attributes a soul to God, for it is mentioned in Hebrews 10:38, where God says, But my just man liveth by faith, but if he withdraw himself, he shall not please my soul. Therefore God is composed of matter and form. Objection 2. Further, anger, joy, and the like are passions of the composites. But these are attributed to God in Scripture. The Lord was exceedingly angry with his people. Psalm 105:40. Therefore God is composed of matter and form. Objection 3. Further, matter is the principle of individualization, but God seems to be individual, for he cannot be predicated of many. Therefore he is composed of matter and form. On the contrary, whatever is composed of matter and form is a body, for dimensive quantity is the first property of matter. But God is not a body, as proved in the preceding article, therefore he is not composed of matter and form. I answer that it is impossible that matter should exist in God, first because matter is in potentiality, but we have shown, question 2, article 3, that God is pure act, without any potentiality, hence it is impossible that God should be composed of matter and form. Second, because everything composed of matter and form owes its perfection and goodness to its form, therefore its goodness is participated inasmuch as matter participates the form. Now the first good and the best, God, is not a participated good, because the essential good is prior to the participated good. Hence it is impossible that God should be composed of matter and form. Third, because every agent acts by its form, hence the matter in which it has its form is the manner in which it is an agent. Therefore whatever is primarily and essentially an agent must be primarily and essentially form. Now God is the first agent, since he is the first efficient cause. He is therefore of his essence a form, and not composed of matter and form. Reply to Objection 1. A soul is attributed to God because his acts resemble the acts of a soul, for what that we will anything is due to our soul. Hence what is pleasing to his will is said to be pleasing to his soul. Reply to Objection 2. Anger and the like are attributed to God on account of a similitude of effect. Thus, because to punish is properly the act of an angry man, God's punishment is metaphorically spoken of as his anger. Reply to Objection 3. Forms which can be received in matter are individualized by matter, which cannot be in another, as in a subject, since it is the first underlying subject, although form of itself, unless something else prevents it, can be received by many, but that form which cannot be received in matter, but is self-subsisting, is individualized precisely because it cannot be received in a subject, and such a form is God. Hence it does not follow that matter exists in God. Article 3. Whether God is the same as his essence or nature. Objection 1. It seems that God is not the same as his essence or nature, for nothing can be in itself, but the substance or nature of God, i.e. the Godhead, is said to be in God. Therefore it seems that God is not the same as his essence or nature. Objection 2. Further, the effect is assimilated to its cause, for every agent produces its like, but in created things the suppositum is not identical with its nature, for a man is not the same as his humanity. Therefore God is not the same as his Godhead. On the contrary, it is said of God that he is life itself, and not only that, but he is a living thing. I am the way, the truth, and the life. John 14:16. Now the relation between Godhead and God is the same as the relation between life and a living thing. Therefore God is his very Godhead. I answer that God is the same as his essence or nature. To understand this, it must be noted that in things composed of matter and form, the nature or essence must differ from the suppositum, because the essence or nature connotes only what is included in the definition of the species, as humanity connotes all that is included in the definition of man. For it is by this that man is man, and it is this that humanity signifies, that namely whereby man is man. Now individual matter, with all the individualizing accidents, is not included in the definition of the species, for this particular flesh, these bones, this blackness or whiteness, etc., are not included in the definition of a man. Therefore this flesh, these bones, and the accidental qualities distinguishing this particular matter are not included in humanity, and yet they are included in the thing which is man. Hence the thing which is a man has something more in it than has humanity. Consequently, humanity and a man are not wholly identical, but humanity is taken to mean the formal part of a man, because the principles whereby a thing is defined are regarded as the formal constituent in regard to the individualizing matter. On the other hand, in things not composed of matter and form, in which individualization is not due to individual matter, that is to say, to this matter, the very forms being individualized of themselves, it is necessary the forms themselves should be subsisting supposita. Therefore, suppositum and nature in them are identified. Since God then is not composed of matter and form, he must be his own Godhead, his own life, and whatever else is thus predicated of him. Reply to Objection 1. We can speak of simple things only as though they were like the composite things from which we derive our knowledge. Therefore, in speaking of God, we use concrete nouns to signify his subsistence, because with us only those things subsist which are composite, and we use abstract nouns to signify his simplicity. In saying, therefore, that Godhead or life or the like are in God, we indicate the composite way in which our intellect understands, but not that there is any composition in God. Reply to Objection 2. The effects of God do not imitate him perfectly, but only as far as they are able, and the imitation is here defective, precisely because what is simple in one can only be represented by diverse things. Consequently, composition is accidental to them, and therefore in them suppositum is not the same as nature. Article 4. Whether essence and existence are the same in God. Objection 1. It seems that essence and existence are not the same in God, for if it be so, then the divine being has nothing added to it. Now, being to which no addition is made is universal being which is predicated of all things. It follows that God is being in general, which can be predicated of everything, but this is false, for men gave the incommunicable name to stones and wood, Wisdom 14:21. Therefore God's existence is not his essence. Objection 2. Further, we can know whether God exists, as said above, Question 2, Article 2, but we cannot know what he is. Therefore, God's existence is not the same as his essence, that is, as his quiddity or nature. On the contrary, Hilary says, in God existence is not an accidental quality, but subsisting truth. Therefore, what subsists in God is his existence. I answer that God is not only his own existence, as shown in the preceding article, but also his own existence. This his own essence, but also his own existence. This may be shown in several ways. First, whatever a thing has besides its essence must be caused either by the constituent principles of that essence, like a property that necessarily accompanies the species, as the faculty of laughing is proper to a man, and is caused by the constituent principles of the species, or by some exterior agent, as heat is caused in water by fire. Therefore, if the existence of a thing differs from its essence, this existence must be caused either by some exterior agent or by its essential principles. Now it is impossible for a thing's existence to be caused by its essential constituent principles, for nothing can be the sufficient cause of its own existence, if its existence is caused. Therefore that thing whose existence differs from its essence must have its existence caused by another. But this cannot be true of God, because we call God the first efficient cause. Therefore it is impossible that in God his existence should differ from his essence. Second, existence is that which makes every form or nature actual. For goodness and humanity are spoken of as actual only because they are spoken of as existing. Therefore existence must be compared to essence, if the latter is a distinct reality, as actuality to potentiality. Therefore, since in God there is no potentiality, as shown above, Article 1, it follows that in him essence does not differ from existence. Therefore his essence is his existence. Third, because just as that which has fire but is not itself fire is on fire by participation, so that which has existence but is not existence is a being by participation. But God is his own essence, as shown above, Article 3. If therefore he is not his own existence, he will not be essential. He will be not essential, but participated being. He will not therefore be the first being, which is absurd. Therefore God is his own existence, but not merely his own essence. Reply to Objection 1. A thing that has nothing added to it can be of two kinds. Either its essence precludes any addition, thus, for example, it is of the essence of an irrational animal to be without reason. Or we may understand a thing to have nothing added to it, inasmuch as its essence does not require that anything should be added to it. Thus the genus animal is without reason, because it is not of the essence of animal in general to have reason, but neither is it to lack reason. And so the divine being has nothing added to it in the first sense, whereas universal being has nothing added to it in the second sense. Reply to Objection 2. To be can mean either of two things. It may mean the active essence, or it may mean the composition of a preposition affected by the mind in joining a predicate to a subject. Taking to be in the first sense, we cannot understand God's existence nor his essence, but only in the second sense. We know that this proposition which we form about God when we say God is true, and this we know from his effects. Question 2, Article 2. Article 5, whether God is contained in a genus. Objection 1. It seems that God is contained in a genus, for a substance is a being that subsists of itself, but this is especially true of God, therefore God is a genus of substance. Objection 2. Further, nothing can be measured save by something of its own genus, as length is measured by length and numbers by number. But God is the measure of all substances, as the commentator shows. Therefore God is the genus of substance. On the contrary, in the mind, genus is prior to what it contains. But nothing is prior to God, either really or mentally. Therefore God is not in any genus. I answer that a thing can be in a genus in two ways, either absolutely and properly as a species contained under a genus, or as being reducible to it, as principles and privations. For example, a point and unity are reduced to the genus of quantity as its principles, while blindness and all the other privations are reduced to the genus of habits. But in neither way is God in a genus. That he cannot be a species of any genus may be shown in three ways. First, because a species is constituted of genus and difference. Now that from which the difference constituting the species is derived is always related to that from which the genus is derived, as actuality is related to potentiality, for animals derived from sensitive nature by concretion as it were, for that is animal which has a sensitive nature. Rational being, on the other hand, is derived from intellectual nature, because that is rational which has an intellectual nature, and intelligence is compared to sense, as actuality is to potentiality. The same argument holds good in other things. Hence, since in God actuality is not added to potentiality, it is impossible that he should be in any genus as a species. Since, therefore, it is impossible that he should be in any genus as a species. Second, since the existence of God is his essence, if God were in any genus, he would be the he he would be in the he would be the genus being, since genus is predicated as an essential, it refers to the essence of a thing. But the philosopher has shown that being cannot be a genus, for every genus has differences distinct from its generic essence. Now no difference can exist distinct from being, for non-being cannot be a difference. It follows, then, that God is not in a genus. Third, because all in one genus agree in the quiddity or essence of the genus, which is predicated of them as an essential, but they differ in their existence. For the existence of man and of horse is not the same, as also of this man and of that man. Thus in every member of a genus, existence and quiddity, i.e., essence, must differ, but in God they do not differ, as shown in the preceding article. Therefore it is plain that God is not in a genus as if he were a species. From this it is also plain that he has no genus nor difference, nor can there be any definition of him, nor save through his effects a demonstration of him. For a definition is from genus and difference, and the mean of a demonstration is a definition. That God is not in a genus as reducible to it as its principle is clear from this, that a principle reducible to any genus does not extend beyond that genus, as a point is the principle of continuous quantity alone, and unity of discontinuous quantity. But God is the principle of all being, therefore he is not contained in any genus as its principle. Reply to Objection 1. The word substance signifies not only what exists of itself, for existence cannot of itself be a genus as shown in the body of the article, but it also signifies an essence that has the property of existing in this way, namely of existing of itself. This existence, however, is not its essence, thus it is clear that God is not in the genus of substance. Reply to Objection 2. This objection turns upon proportionate measure, which must be homogeneous with what is measured. Now God is not a measure proportionate to anything, still he is called the measure of all things, in the sense that everything has being only according as it resembles him. Article 6. Whether in God there are any accidents. Objection 1. It seems that there are accidents in God, for substance cannot be an accident, as Aristotle says. Therefore that which is an accident in one cannot in another be a substance. Thus it is proved that heat cannot be the substantial form of fire, because it is an accident in other things. But wisdom, virtue, and the like, which are accidents in us, are attributes of God. Therefore in God there are accidents. Objection 2. Further, in every genus there is a first principle, but there are many genera of accidents. If therefore the primal members of these genera are not in God, there will be many primal beings other than God, which is absurd. On the contrary, every accident is in a subject. But God cannot be a subject, for no simple form can be a subject, as Boethius says. Therefore in God there cannot be any accident. I answer that from all we have said it is clear there can be no accident in God. First, because a subject is compared to its accidents as potentiality to actuality, for a subject is in some sense made actual by its accidents. But there can be no potentiality in God, as was shown, question 2, article 3. Second, because God is his own existence, as Boethius says. Although every essence may have something superadded to it, this cannot apply to absolute being. Thus a heated substance can have something extraneous to heat added to it, as whiteness. Nevertheless, absolute heat can have nothing else than heat. Third, because what is essential is prior to what is accidental. What has God as absolute primal being, there can be in him nothing accidental. Neither can he have any essential accidents, as the capability of laughing is an essential accident of man, because such accidents are caused by the constituent principles of the subject. Now there can be nothing caused in God, since he is the first cause. Hence it follows that there is no accident in God. Reply to Objection 1. Virtue and wisdom are not predicated of God and of us univocally, hence it does not follow that there are accidents in God as there are in us. Reply to Objection 2. Since substance is prior to its accidents, the principles of accidents are reducible to the principles of the substance as to that which is prior. Although God is not first, as if contained in the genus of substance, yet he is first in respect to all being outside of every genus. Article 7. Whether God is altogether simple. Objection 1. It seems that God is not altogether simple, for whatever is from God must imitate him. Thus from the first being are all things, and from the first good is all good. But in the things which God has made, nothing is altogether simple. Therefore neither is God altogether simple. Objection 2. Further, whatever is best must be attributed to God, but with us that which is composite is better than that which is simple. Thus chemical compounds are better than simple elements, and animals than the parts that compose them. Therefore it cannot be said that God is altogether simple. On the contrary, Augustine says God is truly and absolutely simple. I answer that the absolute simplicity of God may be shown in many ways. First, from the previous articles of this question, for there is neither composition of quantitative parts in God, since he is not a body, nor composition of matter and form, nor does his nature differ from his suppositum, nor his essence from his existence, nor is there in him composition of genus and difference, nor of subject and accident. Therefore it is clear that God is nowise composite, but is altogether simple. Second, because every composite is posterior to its component parts, and it is dependent on them. But God is the first being, as shown above. Third, because every composite has a cause, for things in themselves different cannot unite unless something causes them to unite. But God is uncaused, as shown above, question 2, article 3, since he is the first efficient cause. Fourth, because in every composite there must be potentiality and actuality, but this does not apply to God, for either one of the parts actuates another, or at least all the parts are potential to the whole. Fifth, because nothing composite can be predicated of any single one of its parts, and this is evident in a whole made up of dissimilar parts. For no part of a man is a man, nor any of the parts of the foot a foot, but in wholes made up of similar parts, although something which is predicated of the whole may be predicated of a part, as a part of the air is air, and a part of the water is water. Nevertheless, certain things are predicated of the whole, which cannot be predicated of any of the parts. For instance, if the whole volume of water is 2 cubits, no part of it can be 2 cubits. Thus, in every composite there is something which is not in itself. But even if this could be said of whatever has a form, that it has something which is not in it itself, as in a white object there is something which does not belong to the essence of white. Nevertheless, in the form itself there is nothing besides it. And so, since God is absolute form, or rather absolute being, he can be in no way composite. Hilary implies this argument when he says God, who is strength, is not made up of things that are weak, nor is he who is light composed of any things that are dim. Reply to Objection 1. Whatever is from God imitates him, but he has caused things imitate the first cause, but it is of the essence of a thing to be in some sort composite, because at least its existence differs from its essence, as will be shown hereafter. Reply to Objection 2. With us composite things are better than simple things, because the perfection of created goodness cannot be found in one simple thing, but in many things. But the perfection of divine goodness is found in one simple thing. Questions 4, Article 1 and 6. Article 2.